the Rockets are doing the thing that was missing early in the season. They were 1-3 in close games. You wonder if that's missing Fred VanVleet, if there's something wrong with them in the clutch. That is what this team is going to need come playoff time with the absence of a traditional point.
This morning, reports surfaced that the Houston Rockets might never have traded for Kevin Durant if they had known about Fred VanVleet's injury. And that's the kind of revelation that makes you pause. Because Durant has been nothing short of phenomenal, averaging 26 points a night, shooting at elite efficiency, still an all-star. The problem isn't KD. The problem is timing and circumstance. Last season, the Rockets had structure. Fred ran the offense with precision. Steven Adams protected the paint. Dillon Brooks brought toughness on both ends. They dominated the glass, played elite defense, and had clear roles for everyone. It was a system built for consistency, not flash. This year, that balance is gone. Fred's injury disrupted everything. Adams' absence removed a critical anchor. And KD is now facing double teams, blitzes, and constant pressure. The team is talented, but no longer stable. And that's the difference between good and great. When Houston traded for KD, they were in win-now mode. There was no room for error, no time to build slowly. Every roster decision mattered. They gave up youth, depth, and flexibility, and now those choices are being tested. The Rockets are slightly better than last season on paper, but watching them play tells a different story. A team trying to survive chaos, not thrive. Without Fred VanVleet controlling the tempo, the Houston Rockets are navigating uncharted territory. Last season, the team had a clear system. Everyone knew their roles. When Fred touched the ball, the offense flowed. Steven Adams protected the paint. Alperen Sengun set screens. Dillon Brooks brought relentless energy. Fast breaks were organized, rotations were crisp, and even when mistakes happened, the system covered them. That stability made the Rockets tough to beat. You could feel it watching them on TV. There was confidence, rhythm, chemistry. Fast forward to today, and the contrast is glaring. Fred's injury removed the linchpin, and suddenly Houston's young players are asked to do things they've never done. Amen Thompson, once primarily a wing scorer, is now being asked to handle ball distribution at critical moments. Sengun, whose natural inclination is inside scoring and rim protection, is being pushed to initiate offense from the top of the key. Even seasoned role players are being asked to stretch beyond their comfort zones. The learning curve is steep and the results are inconsistent. Every night, the Rockets oscillate between brilliance and chaos. One quarter, they look like a playoff-caliber team. The next, turnovers pile up, defense collapses, and frustration mounts. Now, let's talk about Kevin Durant. He's still one of the most efficient scorers in the league. Half-court, mid-range, step-back, catch-and-shoot. He can do it all. But KD is human, and basketball is a team sport. With Fred gone and Adams sidelined, defenses can focus on him. Teams are blitzing him off pick and rolls, daring Amen Thompson or Sengun to create. And while sometimes it works, more often than not, it doesn't. KD finds himself double-teamed repeatedly, running off screens, rotating, adjusting, and still expected to be the playmaker. That's not how superstars thrive long-term. It exposes cracks in the roster construction. And while fans see KD scoring 30 points and think he's carrying the team, insiders see the stress on him, the constant adjustments, the defensive attention, the lack of consistent help, and understand why the team struggles in clutch moments. Take a closer look at Amen Thompson. This young guard is raw but talented. He has tools, speed, and vision, but at times, you can see him overthinking. Decisions that were second nature last season are now complicated. When to pass, when to shoot, when to drive. All of these split-second choices are amplified under playoff pressure. And then there's Alperen Sengun, asked to orchestrate an offense that isn't natural to him. He's adapting well for a rookie, but consistency is rare. Some nights, he looks like a floor general. Other nights, confusion sets in. Opposing defenses sense this hesitation and exploit it. And this is why structure matters. Even with KD, a team without identity struggles against disciplined defenses. The Rockets bench is another point of concern. Depth in the NBA is crucial, especially in the West. Injuries, fatigue, and matchups demand that a team's second unit can keep the game close. Houston's bench has flashes of talent, but consistency is missing. Some nights, DFS or Capella provide energy and scoring. Other nights, rotations falter, spacing collapses, and turnovers spike. The lack of reliable secondary playmakers puts pressure on the starters and forces KD into more minutes and more responsibility. Over time, this wears down even elite players. KD can't carry a team alone, and no one is arguing that he should have to. Defensively, the Rockets are struggling to replicate last season's intensity.
This is something you see, and we're finally getting the look of it against
Durant
the Cavs.
won the three over.
Are you kidding me?
Wow, Kevin Durant.
With Adams absent, rim protection is a weakness. Opponents attack the paint aggressively, knowing Houston has limited answers. Pick-and-roll coverage is inconsistent, and rotations are often late. Even when the Rockets anticipate correctly, execution falters. And while Thompson and Sengun are learning to cover more ground, defensive lapses are inevitable when roles are expanded suddenly. Depth becomes glaringly important. Healthy teams like Denver and San Antonio thrive because their rotations can cover weaknesses. Houston is improvising, and improvisation works only some of the time. Another subtle but critical issue is the mental side. Confidence is fragile in basketball. Young players being asked to perform beyond their experience can experience pressure fatigue. They make mistakes they wouldn't have made last season. Missed rotations lead to second chance points for opponents. Turnovers swing momentum. KD's presence, while elevating the ceiling, also elevates expectations. When results don't match the hype, frustration grows. This isn't about blaming anyone. It's about structural stress. Every team has weaknesses. Good teams hide them. Elite teams compensate. The Rockets are in transition and trying to compensate without a full set of tools. Let's examine the matchup implications. Teams in the West aren't forgiving. Opponents scout, adjust, and exploit inconsistencies. KD draws double teams, and suddenly, inexperienced players are forced into decisions they may not yet have mastered. Some games work, the young core rises, hits clutch shots, and the Rockets win. But other games, they crumble in pressure situations. In playoffs, there's no margin for error. The Western Conference will punish these gaps. Denver, Spurs, OKC. These are teams with structure and depth. Even Minnesota or Phoenix can exploit mismatches consistently. Houston's patchwork system is vulnerable. Then there's the buyout and trade market, a story in itself. Houston had little flexibility because of the KD trade. They couldn't sign significant help without moving players like Sengun Amen Thompson or KD himself. Options like Lonzo Ball, veterans from buyouts, or mid-season trades were limited. This restricts their ability to adapt to unforeseen challenges, like injuries or slumps. A team's flexibility is part of its identity. Without it, the Rockets feel trapped, forced to play with the same pieces despite evident gaps. Momentum and flow are also disrupted. Last season, the Rockets' identity allowed them to carry hot streaks and absorb cold ones. Players understood roles, and games didn't unravel easily. Now, momentum is fragile. Hot starts can disappear, cold stretches can extend, and adjustments take longer to make. Coaching staff must adapt constantly, and young players are learning in real time. Every game becomes a mini lesson in experience, but the cost is wins. When playoff seeding or position is on the line, these lessons are expensive. Finally, the paradox of talent versus readiness. KD is a generational talent. Amen Thompson and Sengun are high-potential young stars. But without a system that leverages their strengths cohesively, potential is wasted. Talent alone doesn't guarantee wins. Identity, chemistry, and execution do. The Rockets are rich in raw ability, but poor in structural support. It's a case study of why timing, development, and strategic patience matter as much as player skill. Looking ahead, the question becomes, can this version of the Rockets win a playoff series? Maybe, but the chances of going deep are slim. Healthy teams like Denver, San Antonio, and OKC have clear identities and depth that Houston simply lacks. Fred's return could change the narrative next season, but for now, the team is missing its stabilizing forces. KD is playing at an elite level, but basketball is a team sport. You need structure, support, and depth. All things this Rockets roster is struggling to maintain. The bigger question is timing. Did Houston accelerate too soon? If they had stayed patient, developing Jalen Green, Sengun, and keeping Brooks, they could have built a team capable of sustained success. Instead, they traded youth for urgency. Without Fred, without Adams, and without flexibility at the trade deadline, they are a win-now team that isn't fully equipped to win. It's a gamble, one that might be remembered as taking KD's prime and putting it into a situation that wasn't ready to maximize it. Houston deserves credit. Their coach is elite, and the team shows flashes of brilliance. But flashes aren't enough in the West. The Rockets may make adjustments, get hot in the second half, and possibly surprise some opponents. But deep down, fans know this team isn't built for championship contention right now. It's a lesson in timing, construction, and the thin line between a calculated risk and a gamble that comes 1 year too early.